No one in the royal palace noticed the human. He stood near the silver pillars, wearing a plain guard uniform that did not shine. His name badge was old. His boots were worn. In a hole full of glowing alien armor and floating drones, he looked like someone who did not belong. Most guards here were tall, strong, and proud. He was none of those things. He kept his hands behind his back and his eyes down. He had learned long ago that the best way to survive in a place like this was to stay invisible. But today, something felt wrong. The air in the palace was too quiet. Even the floating lights above the hole slowed their movement, as if the building itself was holding its breath. High above, the royal council gathered, waiting for the arrival of the princess. The human felt his heart beat faster, not because of fear, because of a memory. Inside the pocket of his uniform, his fingers touched something flat and smooth. A small, folded image. Old, faded at the edges. A photo. He never looked at it in public. Never, but he carried it every day. It was a photo of a young alien girl, taken many years ago, long before she became a princess. Back when the galaxy was louder, crueler, and less forgiving. He had promised himself he would protect that memory, even if she had forgotten him. A soft sound echoed through the hall. Footsteps. Everyone turned. The princess entered. She moved with calm power, her long cloak flowing behind her like living light. Her eyes scanned the room, sharp and focused. Generals bowed. Council members lowered their heads. Even the strongest warriors stood still. The human did not look up. He should not look up. That was the rule. But as the princess walked forward, her steps slowed. She stopped, right in front of him. The human felt it before he heard it. The shadow falling over him. The warmth. The silence growing heavier with every second. He lifted his eyes. The princess was looking directly at him. Not past him. Not through him. At him. Murmurs spread through the hall. Why was the princess staring at a low-rank human guard? The human's throat went dry. His mind raced. Had he made a mistake? Broken protocol? Breathed too loudly? Then the princess leaned closer. So close that only he could hear her. Her voice was soft. Calm. Certain. I know you carry my photo in your pocket. The world stopped. The human forgot how to breathe. His fingers tightened inside his glove. His heart slammed against his chest like it wanted to escape. No one should know about the photo. He had never told anyone, never shown anyone, never even spoken about it out loud. Around them, the hall remained frozen. The guards did not hear her words. The council did not see his face change. But inside the human, everything collapsed. The princess straightened and met his eyes again. For a brief second, something crossed her face. Not pride, not anger, recognition. Then she walked away as if nothing had happened. The council began to speak. Voices returned. The palace breathed again. But the human stood there, shaking. Questions burned inside his mind. How did she know? Why had she come to him now? And why, after all these years, did she still remember? Inside his pocket, the old photo felt heavier than ever. Because that photo was not just a memory. It was a promise. And the galaxy was about to learn why a forgotten human had never let it go. No one in the royal palace watched the human closely. That was how he survived. He stood near the outer wall of the great hall, where the light was softer and the eyes of the council never stayed for long. His uniform was clean but old. His rank mark was small, the kind most people ignored without thinking. His name was Evan. To the palace, he was just another human guard. One of the few humans allowed inside the alien capital. Humans were useful, but never important. Strong enough for basic duty. Smart enough to follow orders. Nothing more. Evan knew this. He had known it for years. So he kept his head down. He spoke only when spoken to. He never asked questions. Never stood out. Never tried to be noticed. But that did not mean he was empty. Inside his pocket, hidden beneath layers of fabric and habit, he carried something no one else knew about. A photo. It was old. The edges were worn smooth from years of careful touch. The image showed a young alien girl with wide eyes and a small, brave smile. Her skin glowed faintly, even in the faded print. She looked scared, but hopeful. She was not a princess in the photo, just a child. Evan touched the pocket once, lightly, as if to make sure the photo was still there. It always was. He remembered the day it was given to him. Fire in the sky. Sirens. Screaming. A broken transport ship lying half buried in metal and smoke. He had been younger then. Not a guard. Not trained. Just a human worker doing supply runs near the outer colonies. He had found her hiding beneath wreckage. Shaking. Bleeding. Alone. She had looked at him like he was the last safe thing in the universe. He had not asked who she was. He had just helped. The memory faded as the sound of voices pulled him back to the present. The Royal Council was gathering. Tall alien leaders took their places on floating platforms. Their armor shimmered with symbols of power. Generals, scholars, war tacticians, beings who decided the fate of entire systems with a single vote. Evan stood still. Then the doors opened. The princess entered. The room changed instantly. Even Evan felt it, like pressure in the air. She was taller now than the girl in the photo. Stronger. Her movements were calm, controlled, and filled with authority. Light followed her steps. Her eyes missed nothing. Evan lowered his gaze, as protocol demanded, but he felt her presence move closer. Closer. Then stop. Right in front of him. His heart began to race. He did not move, did not breathe too loudly, did not look up. Then she spoke, not loud enough for others to hear. I know you carry my photo in your pocket. Evan's world shattered. For a moment, he thought he had imagined it. That stressful memory had tricked him. But when he dared to lift his eyes, the truth was there. The princess was looking directly at him. Her expression was calm, but her eyes held something deeper. Recognition. She straightened and walked away, as if nothing had happened. The council resumed speaking. Guards relaxed. The palace returned to normal. But Evan did not. His hands trembled. His mouth felt dry. His mind raced with questions he had buried for years. How did she know? Why now? Why him? After the session ended, the guards were dismissed. Evan walked through the long corridors of the palace, his steps steady only because years of discipline forced them to be. The walls glowed softly. Alien symbols shifted as he passed. He reached his small assigned quarters and closed the door behind him. Only then did he breathe. He leaned against the wall and slowly pulled the photo from his pocket. The image had not changed. She was still there, the girl he had saved. The girl who had once clutched his hand and refused to let go while explosions shook the ground around them. I told you I would keep it safe, he whispered. He remembered her voice that day. Soft. Weak, but certain. If I live, I will find you. At the time, he had smiled and nodded. He had not believed it. The galaxy was too large, too cruel. Yet here she was, princess of one of the most powerful empires. And she remembered him. A sharp sound echoed through the corridor. Footsteps. Evan quickly hid the photo and straightened as a door slid open. Two elite royal guards stood outside. Their armor was black and gold, their faces hidden. The council requests your presence, one said. Evan felt a chill run through him. Requests from the council were never small things, especially not for a human. He followed them in silence, his mind racing again. Inside the council chamber, the leaders waited. The princess stood among them, her posture firm. One of the elders spoke. This human was present during the colony incident 17 cycles ago, the elder said slowly. Records show he entered a restricted war zone and survived. Murmurs spread. That zone had no survivors, another voice said. The princess turned toward Evan. Yet he survived, she said. And because of him, so did I. The room fell silent. Evan felt every eye turned toward him. He wanted to speak, to explain, to deny, to disappear. But the princess raised her hand. Bring him forward, she said. Evan stepped into the light. For the first time in his life, the galaxy was truly looking at him. And far beyond the palace walls, something ancient stirred. Because a human no one watched closely was never meant to stay invisible. The council chamber was silent, not the calm kind of silence. It was a heavy kind, the kind that pressed down on the chest and made even powerful beings careful with their words. Floating lights dimmed slightly, reacting to the tension in the room. Evan stood alone at the center of the chamber. He could feel every eye on him. Tall alien elders studied him like a strange object. Generals watched with hands near their weapons. Scholars whispered quietly, checking old data on glowing screens. A human did not belong here, especially not a human the princess had spoken for. The princess stood at the highest platform. Her face was calm, but inside, her thoughts were far from steady. She had waited many years for this moment. 17 cycles ago, she had been a child. Back then, the galaxy had felt endless and dangerous. Her royal transport had been attacked near the outer colonies. Sirens screamed. The ship broke apart. Fire filled the air. She remembered being thrown against metal, remembered pain, remembered darkness, and then silence. When she opened her eyes, she had been trapped beneath twisted wreckage. Her body was weak. Her blood marked the ground. Her comm device was dead. She had known the truth even then. No one was coming. Then she heard footsteps. Slow, careful, human. She remembered seeing him for the first time. Young, tired, covered in dust and ash. His eyes were afraid, but kind. He could have run. Most would have, but he didn't. He had lifted the metal. He had wrapped her wounds. He had carried her on his back through smoke and falling debris. She remembered how his hands shook, not from weakness, but from fear of dropping her. She had asked him his name. Evan, he had said. She had given him her photo because she had nothing else to give. A royal child reduced to a frightened girl, trusting a stranger with her life. I will find you, she had told him. She had meant it. Now, standing in the present, the princess looked at that same human. Older, quieter, smaller than she remembered. But it was him. She felt it in her core. In a place beyond memory or logic, an elder cleared his throat. Princess, the elder said carefully, this human presence in that zone was illegal. His survival defies all known records. The princess turned her gaze toward the elder. So does mine, she replied. The chamber stirred. Another council member spoke. You claim this human saved you, yet he has remained silent for 17 cycles. Why come forward now? The princess did not look away from Evan. Because he never tried to use it, she said. He never asked for reward. He never spoke my name. He protected my life, and then he vanished. Evan swallowed hard. He had never expected her to remember those details. He did not vanish, the general said. He entered our system under human labor clearance. Low rank. No special requests. The princess nodded. Exactly. She stepped forward. When I became old enough to search, I looked for him, she said. Records were destroyed. Names were lost. Humans are many, and they move often. Her eyes softened, but I never forgot his face. The council remained quiet. Then a scholar spoke, voice uneasy. There's another issue, the scholar said. Scans taken moments ago detected a faint resonance around the human. The word echoed. Resonance. Several council members stiffened. That resonance belongs to ancient bonds, the scholar continued. Bonds said to exist only in legend. Evan frowned slightly. He did not understand the words, but the way the room reacted told him they mattered. The princess turned sharply. Explain. The scholar hesitated. There are old records, he said, from before the empires, before the wars. They speak of rare moments when a being saved another not by command, not by blood, but by choice. The elder's voice lowered. Such bonds were never meant to form with humans. Silence fell again. Evan felt something stir deep inside his chest. A warmth, faint, but real. The princess felt it too. She took one more step forward. This human did not save me because I was royal, she said. He did not even know who I was. Her voice grew firmer. He saved me because I was alive. A low alarm suddenly sounded in the chamber. Red symbols flashed along the walls. A guard rushed in and bowed quickly. Princess, the guard said, long-range sensors have detected enemy movement near the outer gates. The generals reacted instantly. Which empire? One demanded. The guard hesitated. The one that destroyed the transport 17 cycles ago. The princess's hands slowly clenched. The timing was too perfect. She turned back to Evan. For the first time, Fear touched her expression, not for herself, but for him, because now the galaxy knew he existed, and the enemies who once hunted her were about to learn that the human they ignored was still alive. The alarm echoed through the palace like a warning from the past. Red light washed over the council chamber. Symbols of danger pulsed along the walls. Generals moved fast, issuing commands. Guards took positions at every entrance. Evan stood frozen. Enemy movement. The same empire. The same one that had attacked the transport 17 cycles ago. The princess did not move at first. She looked at Evan, and something passed between them without words. Fear, trust, memory. Then she turned sharply toward the council. Seal the inner gates, she ordered. Raise the planetary shield. No ships enter without my command. Her voice carried authority that could not be questioned. Orders were given. Systems activated. The palace shifted into defense mode. An elder approached the princess, his voice low. If the enemy is here because of the past, then this human is under my protection, the princess said firmly. The elder hesitated. Princess, you know what the legends say. That resonance detected around him is not coincidence. Evan listened, confused. Legends, he asked quietly. Several heads turned. Humans rarely spoke in the council chamber. The princess looked at him and nodded once. You deserve to know. She gestured, and a side chamber opened. Come. They moved quickly through glowing corridors until the noise of the council faded behind them. Inside the smaller chamber, ancient symbols were carved into dark stone walls. The air felt heavy, old. The door sealed shut. Only Evan, the princess, and two elders remained. One elder activated projection. Images filled the air, old stars, broken worlds, beings of different shapes standing together. These records are forbidden knowledge, the elder said, from a time before empires ruled the galaxy. The images shifted. We once believed power came from bloodlines, the elder continued, from species, from strength. Another image appeared, two figures standing side by side during a great disaster. But there were rare moments, the elder said slowly, when power came from choice. Evan felt the warmth in his chest grow stronger. The princess watched him closely. These were cold life bonds, she said. They formed when one being saved another at great personal risk, without command, without reward. The elder's voice grew tense. Such bonds changed history. They created leaders, protectors, symbols. Evan shook his head slightly. I don't understand. I didn't do anything special. I just helped a child. The princess stepped closer. That, she said softly, is exactly why it matters. The projection zoomed in on a symbol, two shapes linked by light. These bonds awaken over time, the elder said, often dormant, often unnoticed. He looked at Evan, until danger returns. Suddenly, the warmth in Evan's chest pulsed sharply. He gasped and staggered back. The princess reached out and caught his arm. The air around Evan shimmered. Light, faint but real, traced along his skin, disappearing just as quickly. The elders stepped back in shock. It's active, one whispered. Impossible. Evan stared at his hands. What's happening to me? The princess did not let go of his arm. You are carrying something ancient, she said. Something humans were never meant to have, but somehow do. Before Evan could respond, a sharp tone sounded. An incoming transmission. The elder activated it. A towering alien figure filled the projection, armor black and jagged, eyes glowing red. The princess lives, the enemy leader said. His voice was cold, confident. We wondered when you would surface again. The princess stood tall. You should not be here. The enemy's gaze shifted, then locked onto Evan. A slow smile formed. There you are, the enemy said. The anomaly. Evan felt a sudden pressure in his mind, like someone was trying to push through his thoughts. He cried out and dropped to one knee. The princess shouted his name. The enemy laughed softly. So fragile, he said, and yet marked. The elders panicked. He can sense the bond, one said, even from this distance. The enemy leaned closer to the projection. That human belongs to us, he said. Hand him over, and we may spare your world. The transmission cut. Silence filled the chamber. Evan breathed heavily, sweat on his brow. I don't want this, he said quietly. I never wanted power. I never wanted war. The princess knelt in front of him, meeting his eyes. I know, she said. That is why they fear you. She stood and faced the elders. You will not give him up, she said. Not now. Not ever. The elder hesitated. Princess, if the enemy attacks. Then we fight, she said. Evan slowly rose to his feet. For the first time, he felt something new. Not fear. Resolve. I don't know what I am, he said, but I won't let them hurt anyone else. Not you. Not this world. The light around him flickered again, stronger this time. The elder stared. The princess smiled faintly, because the secret was no longer hidden, and the galaxy was about to learn that the weakest human was never meant to stay weak. The first enemy ships appeared above the planet at dawn. They broke through the edge of the system like dark shadows cutting through light. Long, sharp vessels formed a wide circle in orbit, their weapons glowing as they charged. Inside the palace, alarms screamed again. This time, there was no confusion. This was war. Evan stood on the high balcony beside the princess, looking up at the sky. He could see the enemy ships clearly now. Too many. Too close. They came faster than expected, a general said. They want the human. Evan's hands slowly clenched. I won't hide, he said. His voice was calm, but firm. If this is because of me, then... No, the princess said sharply. She turned to face him. Her eyes were strong, unshaken. You are not a burden, she said. You are not a mistake, and you will not face this alone. The generals exchanged uneasy looks. Princess, one said carefully, if we refuse a demand, they will attack the capital. The princess looked back at the sky. Then let the galaxy watch, she said. Let them see who we choose to stand with. A transmission request appeared. Enemy command channel. The council hesitated, but the princess raised her hand. Open it. The image of the enemy leader filled the air again. His armor gleamed, scarred from countless battles. His eyes burned with confidence. You have had time to think, he said. Hand over the human. The princess stepped forward, placing herself slightly in front of Evan. No. The word echoed through the chamber. The enemy leader laughed. You would risk your world for one human. Yes, she replied without pause. A ripple of shock spread through both fleets. Cameras across the system activated. Civilian feeds. Military channels. Neutral observers. The galaxy was watching. The enemy leader's smile faded. You choose weakness, he said. The princess's voice hardened. You mistake humanity for weakness. The transmission cut. The first shot was fired. Energy slammed into the planetary shield, shaking the palace. The floor trembled. Lights flickered. Shields holding, a commander shouted. Enemy ships advanced. Evan felt the warmth in his chest surge, stronger than ever before. It spread through his arms, his legs, his spine. He gasped and grabbed the railing. The princess noticed instantly. Evan, she said, gripping his arm, what do you feel? I don't know, he said, breathing hard. But it feels like something is waking up. Another blast struck the shield. The warmth became pressure. Pain, then clarity. Evan straightened. The air around him shimmered again, but this time it did not fade. Faint lines of light traced along his skin, pulsing in time with his heartbeat. God stepped back in fear. What is he? One whispered. Evan looked at his hands. They no longer trembled. I was never meant to fight alone, he said. Outside, an enemy strike pierced a weak section of the shield. A shockwave tore through the upper defense platforms. Explosions lit the sky. The princess turned toward Evan. Can you help? She asked, not as a ruler, but as someone who trusted him. Evan nodded once. I don't know how, he said, but I'll try. He stepped forward. As his foot touched the platform edge, the light around him flared. A pulse of energy surged outward, fast, silent, unstoppable. Enemy targeting systems glitched, weapons powered down. Across the fleet, alarms sounded. What just happened? An enemy officer shouted. The enemy leader stared at his screens in disbelief. That human, he whispered. Evan raised his hand instinctively. Another wave spread, stronger this time. 2 enemy ships lost control, drifting helplessly. The galaxy went silent. No human had ever done this. Not soldiers, not scientists, not legends. Just one human, choosing to stand. The princess watched, eyes wide. He's not attacking, a general said in shock. He's disrupting them. Evan lowered his arm, exhausted but standing. I can feel them, he said. They're weapons. They're fear. The enemy leader reappeared on the screen, his confidence shattered. This changes nothing, he growled. You cannot protect him forever. The princess stepped forward again, placing a hand on Evan's shoulder. I don't have to, she said. He can protect himself. The transmission cut once more. Enemy ships pulled back slightly, regrouping. The palace was still shaking, but something had changed. Fear had shifted sides. Across the galaxy, messages spread fast. A human had stood before an empire, and the empire had paused. Evan looked at the princess. I never wanted to be seen, he said quietly. She smiled softly. Neither did the galaxy, she replied. But now it cannot look away. Above them, the enemy fleet hovered, uncertain, because for the first time in history, the galaxy had aimed its weapons at one human, and hesitated. The enemy fleet did not leave. They stayed at a distance, silent and waiting, like predators watching an injured world. Their weapons no longer fired, but their presence alone was a threat. Inside the palace, the mood had changed. Fear was still there, but now it was mixed with disbelief. Evan sat in a circular chamber surrounded by glowing scanners. Scholars moved carefully around him. Symbols floated in the air, reading his body, his mind, his energy. He felt tired, not weak, but drained, like he had run farther than he ever had before. The princess stood close by. She did not leave his side. What are you seeing? She asked. One of the scholars swallowed before answering. We are seeing things that should not exist, he said. Human biology altered, but not by machines, not by experiments. Then by what? A general demanded. The scholar looked at Evan. By inheritance. The room went quiet. Evan frowned. My parents were normal, he said. Factory workers. No power. No titles. The elder stepped forward slowly. Not all inheritance is visible, the elder said. Some truths are hidden until they are needed. The projection shifted, showing ancient star maps. Old human colony routes appeared, then vanished. There was once a human group, the elder continued, lost during the first expansion wars. Records erased. Ships destroyed. The princess's eyes widened slightly. The quiet line, she said. The elder nodded. Yes, humans who disappeared into alien space. We believe them extinct. The image changed again. These humans survive by bonding, the elder said. Not with machines, with life itself, with choice. Evan felt the warmth in his chest respond to the words. They learned to carry resonance, the scholar added. Very weak at first, only activated through true selfless acts. Evan looked down at his hands. So, I'm not special, he said slowly. I just came from people who learn how to care. The princess smiled faintly. That may be the most dangerous thing of all, she said. An alarm sounded again, short and sharp. Enemy transmission incoming. A guard announced. The image of the enemy leader appeared once more. His face was darker now, controlled, angry. We know what he is, the leader said. Your human carries blood from the quiet line. Murmurs spread. You wiped them out, the princess said coldly. We tried, the enemy replied, but some always survive. He leaned closer. That blood makes him a key, the enemy said. A living bridge. With him, we could awaken weapons buried before empires. Evan's chest tightened. I won't help you, he said. The enemy leader smiled thinly. You already are, he said. Every time you use that power, you awaken more. The transmission cut. Silence followed. The princess turned to Evan. Is it true? Evan closed his eyes. I feel it, he admitted. Like doors opening. Like something waiting. The elder's voice was grave. Then the legends were incomplete. He looked directly at Evan. The bond between you and the princess is not just emotional, he said. It is a stabilizer. The princess stiffened. Meaning? Meaning, the elder said slowly, that without her, his power could consume him, or fall under enemy control. Evan's breath caught. So I'm a risk, he said quietly. You are a responsibility, the princess corrected. She stepped closer, placing her hand over his chest. The warmth calmed instantly. Both of them felt it. A balance. The scholars watched in awe. The bond responded to proximity. One whispered, perfect alignment. The princess met Evan's eyes. You saved my life once, she said softly. Now we protect each other. Evan nodded. Before anyone could speak again, the palace shook violently. A massive blast tore through the outer defense ring. Shields failing, a commander shouted. The enemy fleet surged forward. They are forcing a breach, another yelled. The princess turned sharply. They know they cannot take him peacefully, she said. They will take him by fire. Evan stood. No, he said. They won't. Everyone turned. I won't run, Evan said. And I won't hide behind shields anymore. The princess's eyes filled with concern. Evan, I trust you, he said. That's enough. The light around him flared, stronger than ever before. Not wild, focused. The elder stared in disbelief. His stabilizing himself, the elder said. With her. Outside, the enemy fleet advanced. Inside, a human who once carried boxes and stood silent at walls, now stood as something the galaxy had tried to erase. And the truth was clear at last. He was not a weapon. He was a choice. And the galaxy was about to learn. What happens when humans choose to stand? The palace shook as another blast struck the outer defenses. Cracks of light spread across the energy shield above the capital. The enemy fleet was no longer waiting. They were pushing forward with full force. Inside the command hall, alarms screamed without pause. They are preparing a ground breach, a commander shouted. If the shield falls, the capital is lost. The princess stood at the center of the room, calm but pale. She knew the truth. This battle was not about territory. It was about Evan. Evan felt the pressure growing again inside his chest. The power was no longer gentle warmth. It was heavy, demanding, like a rising tide that would not stop. He could feel the enemy, not their ships, but their hunger. They are trying to pull at the bond, he said quietly. They can feel it. The elders exchanged worried looks. They are forcing resonance amplification, one said. If they succeed, the bond will overload him. The princess turned to Evan sharply. You cannot let them use you, she said. Evan met her eyes. I know. A long silence followed. Then Evan spoke again. There's another option, he said. The room froze. The elder's voice lowered. What option? Evan took a slow breath. I can draw them away. The princess stepped forward instantly. No. If I leave the planet, Evan continued, they will follow. The bond energy will move with me. Your world will be safe. The general stared at him. That would mean separation, one said. The bond would weaken, Evan finished. Yes. The princess's hands clenched. You would die, she said. Not as a ruler, as a woman who remembered being a child in his arms. Evan shook his head. Not die, he said. Just disappear. The room filled with quiet fear. You once saved me because you had no other choice, the princess said softly. Do not make this choice alone. Evan stepped closer. I am not, he said. I am choosing for both of us. The warmth inside him surged painfully. I can feel it, he admitted. If I stay, the power will keep growing. The enemy will keep coming. More world will burn. The elder spoke carefully. He is right, he said. The resonance seeks conflict. Movement may stabilize it. The princess turned away, struggling to keep her voice steady. I waited my whole life to find you, she whispered, and now you are asking me to let you go. Evan hesitated. For the first time, doubt crossed his face. Then the palace shook again, harder than before. Shield collapsed in 3 minutes, a commander yelled. The enemy leader's voice suddenly filled the hole through an open channel. You cannot hide him, the leader said. The bond calls to us. Hand him over, or watch your kingdom burn. Evan stepped forward. I will go, he said clearly. No, the princess said, turning back to him. Evan reached out and gently took her hand. The moment they touched, the chaos inside him settled. The pain eased. The light softened. Everyone felt it. The enemy leader froze on screen. What are you doing? The leader demanded. Evan looked straight ahead. Choosing, he said. The princess's eyes filled with tears. You don't have to be alone, she said. Evan smiled faintly. I was alone for a long time, he said. This was worth it. The elder's voice broke. If you go beyond the system, the bond may fracture. Evan nodded. Or it may change. He turned to the princess. You once told me you would find me if you lived, he said. You kept your promise. She stepped closer, forehead resting against his. And you kept mine, she whispered. Outside, the enemy fleet advanced closer. Inside, a choice was being made that would echo across history. Evan released her hand slowly. The warmth surged one last time, then focused into a single, bright core. I will lead them away, he said. When the galaxy is quiet again, remember me. The princess's voice trembled. I will never forget you. Evan turned toward the exit. As he walked away, the palace lights dimmed, because the galaxy was about to learn the most dangerous truth of all. A human was willing to lose everything, not for power, not for glory, but for someone else. And that choice would change the fate of kingdoms. The stars were silent where Evan went. Enemy ships followed him beyond the edge of the system, exactly as he planned. Their weapons stayed ready, but they did not fire. They were waiting for the moment his power broke, for the bond to collapse, for the human to fall. But Evan did not fall. Alone in the dark, he felt the bond change. It did not weaken. It became clear. The pain he had feared did not come. Instead, the warmth inside him settled into something steady, something calm. He realized the truth then. The bond was never about distance. It was about choice. Back on the planet, the princess stood at the highest tower, watching the sky where Evan had vanished. Days passed, then weeks. The enemy fleet was gone. Not defeated, but drawn away, scattered, leaderless. The kingdom survived, but the princess did not celebrate. She carried the memory of Evan with her in every step, in every decision, in every quiet moment when the palace halls echoed too loudly. He is gone, an elder said gently one evening. The princess shook her head. No, she replied. He is still choosing. Far beyond known space, the enemy leader watched his screens in growing fear. The human had not become weaker. He had become impossible to control. Every time the enemy tried to force the resonance, it slipped away. Every attempt to capture Evan ended in failure. Systems failed. Fleets scattered. Fear spread. Because Evan did not fight them. He moved. He led them into empty regions. Away from worlds. Away from life. He became a shadow they could never catch. And with every choice he made, to spare a ship, to avoid a planet, to protect those he would never meet, the bond grew stronger. The enemy leader finally understood. He is not a weapon, the leader whispered. He is a wall. Years passed. The galaxy changed. Humans were no longer ignored. Stories spread of a human who stood before an empire and made it stop. Of a princess who chose a human not as a symbol, but as a person. Human ambassadors were invited. Human voices were heard. And one day, without warning, the stars near the capital shimmered. Sensors activated. Alarms sounded, then stopped. A single ship appeared. Small, scarred, human. The princess ran. She did not wait for guards. She did not wait for ceremony. She ran through the palace halls like she once ran through fire as a child. The ship landed quietly. The door opened. Evan stepped out. older, thinner, but standing. For a moment, they simply looked at each other. Then the princess moved first. She crossed the distance and placed a hand over his chest. The warmth answered instantly. The bond completed. "You came back," she whispered. "I never left," Evan replied. Around them, the air shimmered, not with power, but with peace. The elders watched in silence as the ancient symbols carved into the palace walls glowed for the first time in history. "The bond is stabilized," one elder said in awe. "Not through control, through return." The princess turned to the council. "This human will not be hidden," she said, "and he will not be used." She looked at Evan. "He will stand beside me," she said, "by choice." Evan nodded. "I don't want a throne," he said. "I just want a future where no child waits alone in the dark." The council bowed, not to a princess, not to a human, but to a decision. Later, as the stars moved slowly above the palace, Evan stood beside the princess on the balcony. "You still carry the photo?" she asked. Evan smiled and pulled it from his pocket. He placed it gently into her hand. "I don't need it anymore," he said. She folded the photo and placed it in a small case, sealing it with royal light. "Neither do I," she said. "We're not a memory anymore." They stood together, watching a galaxy that had learned something new. That humans were not powerful because of strength, not dangerous because of weapons, but because when they chose to stand, they did not stand alone. And the galaxy would never forget. The human the princess chose.